witness, but after they gave her the acid burger, she completely was like, yes, absolutely, I'm putting these fucking people away. And it's also rumored that the Manson family killed Leslie Van Houten's lawyer, but his death was eventually ruled accidental, that he drowned in a flash flood. But there are some people who very much maintain that he was killed for not following Leslie's instructions, which of course also, but I mean, some people say that the instructions came from Manson. Manson said that the instructions didn't come from him.
From him, yeah, of course.
But on October 5th, Manson was denied the court's permission to question a prosecution witness.
Because he kept saying, like, I must ask the hard questions. Who is your favorite human being? Is it Jim Carrey or is it
Hazard reported ahead. C is for careful.
What's your favorite burger? Is it In-N-Out or is it Fat Burger? Come on. The jury needs to know.
So Manson, he gets pissed off, and it said that he leapt over the defense table, but I would imagine it was more of a skitter.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, more like a jumping spider.
Mm-hmm.
But the judge, on the other hand, he was scared enough where he had a revolver under his robes at all times. Because and it was also creepy, as Charlie was being wrestled to the ground, all of the girls stood up and started chanting in Latin, which is...
What were they chanting?
Domini est Domini.
Was it Latin? I mean, I don't know.
Angelus Domini.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, on November 16th, the prosecution rested, and 3 days later, strangely enough, the defense rested as well. They called no witnesses to the stand whatsoever, and the defense lawyers say that was because they didn't want the girls to go the stand and try to remove all the blame from Charles, because by this point, Susan Atkins had switched back to Charles Manson's side. She had started off denouncing...
What a mess.
Wow.
What a group of fucking total messes, constantly.
Oh, what a gigantic mess. And while the Hinman copycat defense, it was tried, it didn't work, and on January 25th, 1971, guilty verdicts were returned against the 4 defendants on each of the 27 separate counts. Watson, who was tried separately, was found guilty as well. And so Charles Tex Watson, Patricia Big Patty Krenwinkel, Susan Sexy Sadie Atkins, Leslie Morningflower Van Houten, and Charles Pussy Wizard Manson were all sentenced to death. But less than a year later, all the sentences were reduced to life in prison after the death penalty was abolished in California, and all of them except for, I believe, Susan Atkins are still alive to this day.
And now we have the best version of Manson, which is in jail Manson. Manson in jail is like Richard Pryor live. It's like fucking George Carlin, like why, like how'd I get here? The Jersey Special. He is so awesome in jail, and the reason why is too is when you watch him and you see all these crazy fucking speeches he gives, and he's always nuts and dancing around. Is that he's having fun? Number one. Number two, he finally has fulfilled his
Hazard reported ahead.
Dream
C
of
is
being
for
the king
careful.
of jail.
Yeah. Also.
It's like what he's always wanted.
Yeah.
Now he's the scariest dude in jail. He's got the biggest rep. He could do whatever. He's totally comfortable. He's got people. He's got health care. He's got a toilet. He didn't have a toilet on the Spawn Ranch for 2 years.
And and we're sitting here, we're making fun of Charlie. You know, we made a lot of jokes about Charlie. But yeah, so like, what do you think Charlie would say about all this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? And let's hear what Charlie has to say. That's probably what he had to say about it.
Another thing I'd like to flash on you guys.
1 mile. Exit right.
And all you comedians who get up there and tell jokes about Charlie Manson.
Hazard reported ahead.
What would you do?
C is for careful. Yeah. Also for
Would you tell jokes about me then? I'd like to go on the Johnny Carson show. See him, you know what this beard covers up, Johnny? You know what this beard covers? The heart.
That's a solid punchline, Charles.
No, he's amazing.
quarter of a mile. Exit right.
I'd him up in my arms, and I'd give him a little kiss. I would pet his head, and I would pet his tiny beard.
I agree.
And here's what Charles had to... This is when someone asked him,
Exit right.
Are you God? What do you think about God?
Well, God, I guess you're my
In
best
half a
friend.
mile, turn left. Nom.
Has he invented him?
Sure, I believe myself. Why wouldn't I?
That's brilliant.
Which one? Which Jesus? There's all kinds of Jesuses. There's a black Jesus down in Florida. He's having a good time.
Quarter of a mile. Turn left. Nom nom. Whoa, nom nom nom.
You know, there's all kinds of Jesus coming back everywhere. And nothing can stop it. It's the consciousness that lives in your mind. You know?
The more I listen to him, the more he makes fucking sense. He talks about even several speeches about how he's like, I don't live in the physical world. I live in the spiritual world. He's a very complex. I mean, of course, this is a very complex story. It's a long story. We got to the end of it.
Yeah, we got
Manson is safely behind bars, I guess. Himself. He's protected.
Yeah, he's getting married.
Yeah.
As far as we know, him and Star are still getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah, his good old 25-year-old cute girl.
Yep.
Yeah,
and also I'd like to say, so another thing too is for everybody, check out the documentary called The Source on Netflix to watch what happens of an actual successful cult founded by a guy named Jim Baker who changed his name to Father Yod. And imagine the Manson family if they had literally millions of dollars, some of the most smoking hot men and women living in a mansion together. They produced 60 albums under the name Yahweh 13, this fucking killer psychedelic band that they did.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. Jim Baker, 6'4", beautiful dude, huge dude, jiu-jitsu master, named the world's strongest boy when he was 12 years old. Literally. Not even a joke.
Wow.
Well, that's amazing, man. What a three-parter it was.
Yeah. This concludes probably our longest episode ever.
Yep.
So hopefully, I'm hoping you've taken your shoes off at this point, and hopefully you got your shirt off. I am.
Yeah.
Almost totally new.
Yes, you have not been wearing a shirt this entire time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. I'll do a hail yourselves.
Hail Satan.
Again.
Will you please hail me before you go?
Is Henry?
I mean, who's
us or the?
No, I'm just saying. Just saying in general. Please hail me.
Because I hail
And,
me is a...
Make us Galatians.
Oh, and don't forget to go to podsurvey.com /last LAST. We're still getting the surveys in, so if you didn't do it last week, be sure to do it this week. And we're gonna go out on, and be sure to go to iTunes, rate and review all that kind of stuff.
And find us on Twitter.
Yeah. Marcus Sparks, Ben Kissel, Henry Loves You. And go buy a Last Podcast on the Left t-shirt. CapeComedyRadio.com /Last Podcast on the Left. And just one more thing before we go. If you are having thoughts about hurting yourself or somebody else, please tell somebody in your immediate vicinity as soon as you can. Tell your family, tell your therapist, somebody who can help you in a very real world way. Please tell them as soon as you possibly can. If I cannot stress this enough, if you are thinking of hurting yourself or somebody else,
what did he kill him?
Please tell somebody before you do something that you cannot take back. But we're gonna go out on some of Charlie's music. We're gonna go out
played from a tape.
Yeah, playing from a tape. This is a song called Eyes of a Dreamer. Congratulations, everyone.
You love this.
I love it so much.
Quarter of a mile.
Twice today.
Turn left. Nom nom. Whoa, nom nom nom.
You want me to drop you off at Target?
Yeah. Smile on your face. It's like a boy.
Hey, Last Podcast on the Left listeners. We're looking to get some advertisers to help our podcast stay free as it always has been. We just need you to complete a short, anonymous survey that's going to take no more than 5 minutes. The answers that you help match us up with advertisers.
0.1
Don't they get
miles.
revenue from Spotify?
Turn right.
Don't they get revenue from Spotify?
Turn left. Nom nom.
Monthly raffle to win a $100 Amazon gift card.
Because now
Which
there's
is
Turn right.
Prize
And
yes.
then
Mama's
turn
not to
left.
or sell your
Nom
email
nom.
address.
Whoa,
The fucking
nom nom
government
nom
does it.
nom.
But we won't send you an
Alright,
email
the
unless you
Google
win.
password.
Please go to podsurvey.com.
Hey!
That's podsurvey.com
on.
/LAST to take our survey.
Turn
and get
left.
access to
1 mile, turn right.
A new expanded edition of Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley.
Do something better than that. When you win, we do $100 Amazon gift card.
Thank y'all and hail Satan.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last pass.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.